and I've said it before, 21 is the key. If silver can break through the 21 area, it's going to mean a total lack of this maniacal control this gold cartel is trying to keep on the silver market. And once they lose this control, I think we could see some upside action somewhat similar to what we saw in the cryptocurrencies.
What do you get when you combine SD bullion and the New Zealand Mint? You get the lowest price silver coin ever released to the world. Introducing the Roaring Lion, a 1 ounce, 4 nines fine silver coin with micro engraving security that retails for lower than some of our competitors sell silver bullion rounds for. Check out this magnificent beast, the Roaring Lion silver coin, at sdbullion.com/roaring. That's sdbullion.com/roaring. All right, all right, all right.
Hey everyone, this is Elijah Johnson with your SD Weekly Metals and Markets Wrap, and with us today are co-host Eric Dubin and our guest Bill Murphy, the chairman of the Gold Antitrust Action Committee and the founder of LaMetropoleCafe.com. Eric and Bill, thank you so much for your time today.
Great to be here, EJ. Good talking to you again, Eric.
All right. Now, the first topic we can discuss today is gold, because both gold and silver are up significantly starting the new year and a little bit before. Gold is actually up 11 straight days. What do you make of this, Bill?
Well, it's good to see. And of course, what's interesting to me is there's absolutely no excitement whatsoever. 11 days, even though the last one has been really slight. It's quite different. We haven't seen this much in the past. But there's so much excitement in other markets for being our Dow and the NASDAQ and the cryptocurrency scene and other assets. You would never know it by the sentiment in the marketplace. And I suppose that's good from a big picture standpoint, because it's my opinion that once gold and silver gain some serious momentum, which they've started, some of the momentum traders that have made fortunes in other markets are going to come our way and make life very difficult for the gold cartel, which is there again trying to keep the price from showing any real excitement to the upside.
So, Bill, when it comes to the cycle that we've seen over and over and over again, where the cartel will allow the accumulation of lots and lots of shorts and then pressurizing the market with a wash, rinse, repeat cycle, could you explain that a bit to our new listeners who are just unfamiliar with the basic mechanics of the primary way that the gold cartel, as you like to refer to them, managed the market with, the issuance of tons and tons of paper contracts on the COMEX and the LBMA?
Yeah, Eric, what happens is the speculative people come into the market and start buying because they think, as in other markets, the price is going to go up. And the gold cartel, as I call them, which is the bullion banks and the U.S. government and the Bank for International Settlements and some other central banks, they start selling. And they sell and sell and sell as the price goes up. Just recently, it's gone up some 85,000 contracts in 5 days. And that isn't hedging or what the prudent sellers might do to protect profits. It's this gold cartel just selling like crazy to prevent the gold price from doing what it should have. So the specs keep buying and buying, which they've been doing the past number of weeks. And now the gold open interest is something like, 25,000 contracts. And then what they do is when they get the next one, then they try to wash them out. And they attack, and then eventually the specs either take profits or are forced to get out. The open interest, which is the long and short positions on the COMEX, the official exchange, it just rinses the whole thing out. We've been going through that cycle. And the past couple of years, it's been so bad that the price hasn't been able to go up. Even though, yes, we've gone up this year, but good grief. I mean, compared to where we were 6-7 years ago and compared to other assets, it's ridiculous. And they're the most undervalued assets in the world, that being gold and silver. So this rinse out cycle keeps the price suppressed. So what has to happen is so much buying comes in and the physical market firms up enough that the bad guys, as I call them, are overpowered, and we can get some serious bull markets again and get prices of gold and silver back where they should be.
Yeah, it's really helpful to explain that to our listeners, because a lot of times new people coming to the market saying, why do we want to even bother investing in gold if it's so manipulated and it's never going to break free? It's like an accordion. The market gets expanded as the bullion banks add more short supply of paper into the marketplaces such that it absorbs the incoming demand. And then they pull the plug on that and cover their short positions. And they do this over and over again within their 30-day cycles in any given month. And this is how the market is managed, and over time it's going to be overrun as Bill is speaking about new momentum coming into the market. So, Elijah, you were going to ask Bill about his current thoughts.
Right, and regarding the cryptocurrencies, could you expand on how you think that the excitement we're seeing in the crypto space, we're also going to see that soon in the precious metal space? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I'll never forget, almost a year ago, I was at a Jeff Berwick conference in Acapulco, and the crypto people were all excited because Bitcoin got to the same price as gold at $12.40. And I would say, geez, my camp's miserable in the sense of where the gold price was, and yet these people are really up. And of course, that was just the very, very beginning of the most special upside move in the history of markets in the history of the world. So what I think is going to happen is it's short term. It's been very negative for the gold price because it's an out of the system vehicle investment, whatever you want to call it, that made people mega fortunes. So much so it's mind boggling. But I think what's going to occur is, as I mentioned earlier, once we get some decent, really momentum in gold and silver, a lot of these people that have made money in these markets, and that includes the stock market too, are going to jump in to the gold silver world and make life for this gold cartel very difficult, and they're going to get overpowered. And it's, as I said earlier, they're the cheapest assets in the world, and the upside after a couple of years of 2 or 3 years of just doing nothing after coming down off of highs of above $1,950 silver, I think you're going to see an explosion at some point this year, like we haven't ever seen before in terms of upside action in gold and silver.
Now I know $1,350 for gold is kind of a big price point. Did you want to share with the viewers maybe the price points you're looking at for gold and silver to break through, and then that might be a sign for you that that's when we're going to see this gold and silver actually skyrocket?
Well, it's a good question. I think for me it's $1,380 in gold, and silver is something else. I mean, in my commentary the past period of time, every time it gets to 17 and a quarter, it gets whacked like the mafia doing a hit. It's silly. I mean, it's such a lowly price, and yet time and time again, these past weeks and over more than that, 17 and a quarter has been rejected. And of course, that's sort of a Mickey Mouse objective to take out. For me, and I've said it before, 21 is the key. If silver can break through the 21 area, it's going to mean a total lack of this maniacal control this gold cartel is trying to keep on the silver market. And once they lose this control, I think we could see some upside action somewhat similar to what we saw in the cryptocurrencies. And because they've done everything they can to keep it down here, to keep silver at a price 1/3 of where it was 38 years ago. I mean, and then of course what it did in April of 2011. So this time when it goes, I think it will move up faster than it did in 2011, and the fireworks will be something to behold.
Now, regarding the stock market, I know just this year, we've just as we're starting in 2018, the Dow recently hit 25,000. What do you see for the stock market this year? Do you see the stock market possibly rolling over?
Well, anybody who's tried to predict that has been killed. I mean, there's a lot of really smart people that have, stepped up on the short side, and boy, they could be right at any time. But, this thing it's a mania of sorts. And we just saw what the cryptocurrencies have done in the stock market, even though it's been incredible. It goes up every day. It's been nothing like that. And again, that mania has encouraged one here. And who knows what could happen. There's some very smart people that are looking for it to correct. And there's people like a Jeremy Grantham that are looking for a 50% blow off to the upside. So I'll leave it to smarter people than me to figure out that one. What I'm most excited about and think I see coming finally will be this gold and silver move to the upside. And of course, if we do get a correction in the stock market, which we don't even get a minor one, much less a major one, but it will take some of the steam out of the energy in those markets and some of it, that energy, to go into gold and silver.
Do you have anything to add to that, Eric?
Well, the move that we have seen in the stock market has been entirely liquidity driven, and we've spoken a lot about how central bankers have been putting in as much as $300 billion worth of credit on a monthly basis to keep this levitation act going. And even if one just looks at a chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average for the last 5 years or so, it has this unnatural 45-degree general trend to it that is the result of all of this liquidity that's been pushed into the markets worldwide. And they have elevated financial assets, and we have bubbles everywhere. And right now, in the last month or so, last 2 months, the stock market's been accelerating to the upside. I mean, it looks like, just eyeballing the charts, like a 60-degree up angle. I mean, these are the kind of things that are the makings of a blow-off top. And we've had 10-some-odd year duration move now with the rebooting of the financial markets black hole that was created by the 2008 crash. And so much of what has elevated financial assets is artificial in nature, and the chickens aren't going to come home to roost. And, I have egg on my face. I figured we would see that happen this year, and it didn't, because I never would have anticipated central bankers being willing to dump $300 billion worth of liquidity into the markets on a monthly basis. So that's the artificial world that we're facing, and it can't go on forever. We have catalysts that are going to shake things up. Domestic politics is unstable with the Trump administration, geopolitics, the duration of this economic move and the hollowness of it, the malinvestments that have been created. It's all going to come home to roost at some point. And when it does, that's what's going to create the momentum behind a move into precious metals that Bill Murphy's speaking about. It'll overcome the cartel.
Definitely. And if we see this, huge move in gold and silver as you're seeing, Bill, this year, what do you see for the precious metal mining stocks?
Well, naturally, they have to go the same way. Compared to other stocks, they've really been beat up, especially the junior exploration sector. I mean, many of them are given up for dead and other cheap prices. Back in many cases to where they were at the beginning of the bull market in gold and silver in 2000, 2001. So they actually could have some returns similar to the cryptos, where these penny stocks, go into a number of dollars in terms of, annualized returns. And right now they're still, ignored, and hopefully it's a big wake-up call coming, and people that are hung on in that sector are going to want to look into it. There's a lot of money to be made if this analysis is correct. And if I may, I'd like to add that to what Eric was saying about some people, well, why be in the gold and silver market if the gold cartel is going to keep the price down? And that's a very good point, because that's what's happened when you're seeing all these other assets fly with all this money coming into the markets. But that is, in my opinion, the reason to know this, why they are so cheap, why they so undervalued. And exactly as Eric's saying, once they blow up, this thing is going to explode. And so it's actually the most important reason to know about the market in terms of the gold silver markets, for my own opinion. And I think it's just a matter of time before that happens. It's just, it's gone on for too long. And hopefully the action we've seen in gold the past 3 weeks of it creeping up like it has day after day after day, and whenever they've rated these markets, and we've seen it 2 or 3 of them, they failed. And that could be the first sign of what's coming. It doesn't mean we can't correct from here, of course. That'd be the kiss of death to say it couldn't. But it's probably a sign of what is to come later this year.
I do want to put in a closure on this, because I think we're going to correct starting next week. So, Kranzler and I were on the show, 3 weeks ago? We called the exact bottom. I think we're actually going to correct starting next week, and that it's going to be similar to what we've seen in the last, I think it was 2000, I'm getting mixed up whether it was 17 or 16, but we saw the exact same damn pattern, where in the beginning of the year we had a big burst, and then all of a sudden people were taking profits and all that. And I think we're going to see that right now. So I did want to mention something about that because I want to keep people's expectations sober. So, if you want to roll with that, Bill, go for it.
Well, in terms of the potential of gold and silver correcting here, as I mentioned, so many up days in a row, and I've never seen anything like what they're doing at silver at 17 and a quarter. They're the maniacal, like I mentioned. Every time it gets near the price, they just whack it down, and we know what they're going to try to do. And with the charts having gone straight up, the odds of them attacking are very high and doing what they've done for so long, and it's so tiresome. What I'm hoping for is something comes out of the blue and aborts that effort that is surely in the making, because they said anybody who's watched silver trade all week, it's a joke. So for them to attack like that, it just, at some point, we've got to have something out of the norm instead of the same old drill over and over again. It's why people are so sick and tired of the gold and silver markets.
Yeah, and then we'll either have one or two types of changing catalysts. It'll be like a singular event, like a Brexit that creates a significant momentum that isn't able to be beaten down, or some kind of phase shift in the political backdrop or whatever that is a slow bleed that changes perceptions on valuations in the stock market and in turn everything else. But we've seen a period of time where, we burst out of December's, and when Dave Kranzler and I were on the show a couple weeks back, we talked about how this cycle unfolds and that it's so common and that it was repeating over again. And this is exactly what we've seen. We've seen a pretty decent move in the precious metals. So just want to have people be aware and sober that it is possible that this coming week we'll see a pretty decent correction as the cartel does what they do. They're trying to manage the market. They do a managed retreat, as Bill Murphy has always described. That's probably what we're going to see, because we've seen many days to the upside, and they try to control momentum. And we've seen this pattern as well in a previous year where they allowed the markets to rush up in the first week because that's when the new monies from institutions come into the market. That's when the tax loss selling of December is over. And generally speaking, it's a lot harder to keep the prices tapered down until that first initial burst of momentum is over with. So people need to be aware that, there may be a correction in the short term, because we have seen a lot of up days back to back to back. And the bad guys, as Bill likes to refer to them, are lurking, and they will try to control the market. And we've seen, on a technical basis as well, too, there's a significant amount of momentum that's moved into the market. So even the shorter-term traders, the paper traders on COMEX, are going to be inclined to take some profits. So just wanted to put out that caution, because we were very, very bullish earlier in December when Dave Kranzler was on. We called the exact bottom, and right now I think it's possible that we'll see a correction. So people need to, look at gold as insurance. People who go all in and buy positions that reach their puke point when we have such volatility end up making people lose their insurance. And that's one of the characteristics of the North American bullion buyers, that people don't look at it enough as insurance. They look at it as rank speculation. And in these times, insurance is really, really important. So having exposure to precious metals is key to any balanced portfolio.
All right. Well, Bill Murphy and Eric Dubin, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we let you go, starting with Bill, did you want to share with the viewers any last thoughts you had and where they can find you online?
I think pretty much covers it, EJ. But they can find me at lametropolecafe.com and sign up for a 2-week free trial if they like. And my colleague Chris Powell at www.gada.org does a great job sending out stuff and documenting with evidence what the Gold Cartel is doing, and it's there for all to see.
All right. Any last topics or thoughts you had, Eric?
No, I think we're good. And Gada.org is entirely free. I'd recommend anyone who has yet to discover the website to check it out. There's great information there.
All right. For Eric Dubin and Elijah Johnson, with our guest Bill Murphy, this has been your SD Weekly Metals and Markets Wrap. Thank you so much for joining us.